The military-industrial hypothesis posits that many unexplained aerial phenomena and deep underground installations are actually part of covert military operations tied not only to advanced aerospace technology, but also to strategic preparations such as mutual assured destruction bunkers. In this view, speculation about extraterrestrials serves as a convenient smokescreen, diverting attention from both experimental aircraft and high-stakes nuclear infrastructure. Additionally, when experimental tests or accidents occur, the alien narrative is sometimes used as a cover, masking the very human origins behind the events.
To guarantee the survival of a modern superpower, governments had to build structures so massive and terrifying that they couldn't be acknowledged. They had to seal themselves away in the dark. As the Cold War escalated into the doctrine of mutually assured destruction, a mathematical certainty emerged. If thousands of nuclear warheads could strike any point on the surface within minutes, the only viable defense was to dig. Civilians were left to practice duck and cover drills under wooden school desks. Meanwhile, their governments were quietly funneling billions of dollars into the bedrock below them. Entire subterranean complexes were carved out of solid granite. Underground rivers were redirected, and millions of tons of concrete were poured to create autonomous cities designed to survive an atomic blast. When a state constructs gargantuan facilities right under the feet of its citizens, but enforces absolute silence on their purpose, it creates a psychological vacuum, and human nature abhors a vacuum. Where the truth is highly classified, paranoia rushes in. The most bizarre science fiction legends of the last 70 years, from crashed saucers to subterranean alien wars, didn't materialize out of thin air. They are the direct psychological byproduct of the real, terrifying architecture of the Cold War. The underground infrastructure built during this period falls into two broad categories. The first is the literal doomsday machine, and perhaps the most imposing example sits deep within the Ural Mountains, at a Russian facility known as Kozvinsky Common. This diagram shows Russia's Kozvinsky Common complex. Buried under solid granite, it uses very low-frequency radio signals to reach distant silos. It controls perimeter, or dead hand. If sensors detect nuclear strikes and leadership is wiped out, it triggers a fully automated global counterstrike. The second category of facility is designed for continuity of government. These are heavily armored fortresses built to house political and military elites while the surface burns. America's Cheyenne Mountain Complex is a prime example. The entrance sits at the end of a long road bored directly into the mountain, guarded by blast doors weighing 25 tons. The entire facility rests on massive springs to absorb the seismic shock of a direct nuclear strike. Inside these complexes, unelected civilian and military personnel run around-the-clock global crisis simulations. They monitor early warning systems, track troop movements, and prepare protocols to govern whatever is left of the world after an exchange. Fully automated apocalypse triggers and shadowy cadres of crisis managers operating in deep bunkers. This is the undeniable historical baseline. The reality of these facilities provided the factual foundation that eventually drove the public to paranoia. Put yourself in the shoes of a local resident. You see unmarked helicopters flying low over the mountains. You watch convoys of heavy excavation equipment disappear into restricted zones. You see strange lights in the sky, and you get absolutely zero official explanation. That wall of silence inevitably breeds myth. At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, the highly classified testing of experimental aircraft morphed into the legend of Hangar 18, a rumored holding cell for crashed UFOs and extraterrestrial biological entities. At Montauk Air Force Station in New York, the installation of a massive, ominous SAGE radar antenna dish sparked localized panic. Citizens who saw this looming structure began circulating rumors of government mind control, telepathy, and time travel experiments. The same phenomenon occurred globally. In Russia, the Zhitkor base at Kapustin Yar, a legitimate facility for early Soviet space and missile research, earned the nickname the Soviet Area 51. The actual aerospace engineering going on there was completely eclipsed by local whispers of downed flying saucers. These urban legends function as a desperate psychological reaction to the visible but unexplained footprint of the military-industrial complex. The absolute pinnacle of this subterranean mythology centers on a small town called Dulce, New Mexico. Rumors claim there is a 7-story underground complex here, hosting vats of human-animal hybrids and serving as the battleground for a literal war between U.S. forces and an alien species. The Dulce legend gained major traction in the early 1980s when a civilian researcher named Paul Benowitz began intercepting unusual electronic signals near Kirtland Air Force Base. He quickly concluded he was uncovering communications from an underground extraterrestrial facility. Benowitz took his findings to the military. Instead of dismissing him, U.S. intelligence agents actively fed him forged documents and disinformation. They intentionally encouraged his alien theories. This plaque commemorates Project Gas Buggy, a 1967 experiment where the government detonated a nuclear device underground to stimulate natural gas production. The intelligence community was actually shielding the hazardous radiation aftereffects of this test. Intelligence agencies realized a crucial operational truth. Alien paranoia is a perfect smokescreen. A public obsessing over little green men and hybrid vats is a public that will never uncover classified nuclear blunders or illegal surveillance programs. The hybrid vats at Dulce, the time machines at Montauk, the hidden saucers at Chitker, they are fictions, but they serve a vital psychological purpose for the people who believe them. The human mind prefers a villain it can imagine over a math equation it cannot survive. It is easier to process a secret government treaty with subterranean aliens than to face the absolute bureaucratic bleakness of mutually assured destruction. These fictional monsters distract us from the real ones. Facilities like Kosvinsky Common and Raven Rock are highly efficient, practically flawless systems engineered to guarantee the end of the world. Unelected shadow states sitting in shock-proof bunkers overseeing the automated protocols for a nuclear winter pose a far more immediate threat than any science fiction story about extraterrestrials. The true horror remains the cold reality hidden from the public.